Yo guys, how's it going? Drew Creal here. In this video, what I want to do is talk about why you may or may not want to buy a Yngwie Malmsteen Strat from Fender. These are really great guitars, they're really cool, but I just wanted to share my experience getting a guitar like this with a fully scalloped fingerboard. There's a lot of cool things about this guitar, but there's some other things that you may want to consider if you're looking to buy one of these things. Later on in the video, I'm gonna plug this guitar into this amazing snakeskin Rev Generator 120. It's a total fire breather of an amp. We'll kind of run the guitar through all the different channels so you can hear what these pickups sound like and what this guitar can do. But ultimately, what we're gonna do is find out if this guitar is right for you, so stick around. Alright guys, so here we are with the Fender Malmsteen Stratocaster with Seymour Duncan YJM pickups. It's an amazing take on the Stratocaster. It takes some of the vintage appointments, the vintage color, the vintage tuners, just the vintage look of the instrument to give you a very vibey Stratocaster with some modern appointments. And a fully scalloped fingerboard, which I think is going to be one of the bigger things that we talk about in this video when we ask ourselves, is this a guitar for me? Now, I've been a huge fan of Yngwie Malmsteen since I first heard the Rising Force record, Malmsteen's first record from 1983. I was totally blown away by Black Star and the Icarus Dream Suite and the Little Savage guitar solo. That record is iconic to me, and of course all of his records after that are great as well. And so I've been a huge fan of Malmsteen as a guitar player. I really think that he's one of the greatest of all time, and he's an icon of guitar. He's a real rock star, if you will. And he really made me want to play the guitar better than I do. And he still makes me want to play guitar better. So I figured it would be cool to have his signature model in my collection of guitars. I really think that anybody that does a lot of guitar recording or is a collector of guitars, you really should have a Stratocaster of some sort in your arsenal, or maybe a Telecaster, because those single coil pickups are really transparent and really crystal clear and will allow you to sound like yourself, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. I love humbucker pickups. I love metal guitar. Having a set of single coil pickups in a guitar is great for lead guitar playing. It's great for ambient guitar. It's, you know, there's all these different pickup configurations that you can play around with, tone control stuff, mods, all the different things you can do with these guitars. That's why I think you need one of these. The question is, do you need this guitar? So what I'm going to talk about first are just the general quirks and features of the Malmsteen Strat, if you're not familiar with this guitar. And then I'll talk about a couple of the mods and the changes that I made to make this guitar a little bit more personalized to me. Okay, so what I want to talk about first is what it was like opening this guitar in its original case, what the experience was when I took this thing out of its case. And I did receive this guitar as a gift. I was talking about this guitar all the time. I talked about to my wife about how cool it would be to own a Malmsteen Strat, and I was planning on learning some of his material and, you know, posting about it on this YouTube channel, which I'm still working on, by the way. But my wife went ahead and bought me this guitar for my birthday a couple years ago. And when I first took it out of the case, one of the things that I noticed is that the strings are really slinky. It was tuned to E flat, or it was kind of in tune. So I tuned the guitar up, and I noticed right away that the strings are really slinky. If you put a set of E flats on this guitar, really, really slinky. Malmsteen puts 8s on his guitars. At least he did at one time. I'm not sure what gauge he uses now. But what that says about his playing is that he uses a really light touch. He picks really light, And honestly, that was one of the reasons why I wanted this guitar, is I wanted to fix that aspect of my playing. I am a heavy picker. I probably fret my notes too hard as well. So I wanted a guitar that would sort of train me and teach me to do that. So if that's you, if you're trying to work on that aspect of your playing, this might be a good thing to have in your life to help you fix that. Now, this guitar is pretty expensive. It's one of the more expensive American-made Strats. I think it's right around $2,200, $2,300. But you can find a lot of different varieties of the Malmsteen signature Strat used on Reverb. Usually they come up for right around $1,500. So what I ended up doing with this guitar is put a set of D'Addario 9.5 gauge strings. Believe it or not, they make half-size strings, so I went ahead and put some 9.5s on there, and it plays a lot better in standard tuning with a set of 9.5s. And in fact, I'm about to switch back to E flat on this guitar, so I am probably going to put a set of 10 gauge strings for E flat tuning for my Southern Gospel gig, which I play all in E flat for that gig because a lot of the songs are in flat keys. Something that was a little bit disappointing about this guitar that I noticed right away is that whatever they finish the neck with, I guess it's like the clear coat that they put on the neck, there was actually like a lot of overspray on the frets. And so when you would go to bend a note, it would fret out. And it did that in multiple spots on the neck. So I had to hand this guitar off to my guitar tech, Matt, and he went ahead and I guess sanded down all of the frets, make sure they're all level. He fixed a few of the dead spots. So now when I bend a string on this guitar, it literally screams. And it's incredible playing this guitar for lead guitar playing, for shred guitar playing. It really is the ultimate shred guitar because you have that scalloped fingerboard. It's super expressive. If you vibrato a note on the guitar, you really have a lot more control because there's no wood in the way. If you bend a string, there's really nothing stopping you from pushing that string up to the next note or up a step and a half. A step and a half bend is actually pretty easy to do on a guitar like this. Another reason why I wanted this guitar is because of the YJM pickups, which to me are some of the best sounding Strat pickups that are on the market. In fact, I watched the Robert Baker video of this guitar, and he had a lot of nice things to say about the pickups in this guitar, so I was like, that's what I need. And I will say this, the pickups are low noise, they can handle a lot of gain. I would say they're medium output. They almost sound like a humbucker if you're chugging away on a chord or something like that. On this guitar, it really does sound more metal when you're on the high gain settings, but they can be very articulate for the lower gain and clean tones as well. And of course, you've got all of the classic Strat tones with this guitar. factory, this guitar ships with a 3-way switch, which is how Strats originally shipped way back in the 50s and 60s. They had 3-way switches. I want to say all the way through the 70s, it was a 3-way switch. So what a lot of guys would do is go on a half position, right, to get the split. You'd actually hold that switch halfway in its in between the pickup selector. So what I ended up doing is put a 5-way switch in there. Another thing that I did is I put this little switch here, which allows you to play through the bridge and the neck at the same time, which is a really cool effect. It's just a different tone. Sometimes it's the right tone for a certain part. On this guitar, you've got your traditional volume, tone, and tone, but this tone knob down here, if you turn it all the way up, basically it takes that tone knob out of the circuit for when you're on the bridge position, allowing the bridge pickup to be directly wired to the output, which makes it really, really hot, really metal. There's nothing dampening that tone at all with this particular tone circuit down here. So I just wanted to mention that as well. Another mod that I would recommend for this guitar, as well as any Stratocaster out there, or someone that's playing a traditional kind of Fender style bridge, is if you put a spring inside this hole here, your whammy bar will stay in the same spot. And that's what I've done. I have a really nice, tight, articulate whammy bar with this guitar. But what I did is I ordered the Fender bridge springs. I got a set of those, and you just drop one in the hole and screw your whammy bar on, and it will stay in place. And if you're interested in getting a hold of that for your guitar, I'll put a Sweetwater link in the description to those bridge springs, or maybe Amazon if that's better for you. Another thing that's cool about this guitar is it has a brass nut, which will help with sustain, I think. But it's better than having, your strings sit on a piece of plastic, in my opinion. I think a bone nut or a brass nut is probably the way to go on a guitar like this. It does make string size changes a little bit more complicated. If you wanted to put a set of 11s on this guitar, I think you'd have to get that file down, but you'd have to do that with any nut anyway. You've got your bullet truss rod adjustment here, which I find that to be really convenient. The guitar itself ships with a number of nice little goodies. You get all of the wrenches and tools that you'll need for this guitar. You get a beautiful leopard guitar strap, similar to the one that Malmsteen would play. And you get a set of strap locks, because you'll be definitely throwing this guitar around your body when you're on stage every chance that you get. This guitar has vintage tuners, which can be kind of a pain in the butt when you're restringing the guitar. They just have this little slotted post here that you first put your string in, and then usually it requires you to wind the string around the post more times when you're stringing it up. I may put a set of Fender locking tuners on there at some point on this guitar. That is typically an upgrade that I'd recommend for an instrument like this. far as like other quirks and features, that's about it. This is an original Fender synchronized tremolo, which has the tone of all those classic Strat tones. I think Malmsteen insists on having that on his signature model, and I just think it's great. I think these pickups are awesome. If you are a Strat player, you're gonna love the way that this guitar sounds. Okay, so let's talk about the neck of this guitar and why you may want to avoid a guitar like this. First and foremost, the neck shape itself is a lot smaller than a lot of Fenders that I've played. I went to Grun Guitars several weeks ago with a buddy of mine, and we picked up probably 50 different Strats, custom shop Strats, vintage Strats, all of them that we could. We were like, let's find the most perfect Strat in the store. And we ended up finding the Malmsteen, and my buddy Christian was like, that's the best feeling neck that I've felt here all day. And I was like, that's the guitar I have at my house, man. So I think you get a really nice, fast neck shape that's smaller than a lot of other Strat necks out there. It's not the huge 50s or 60s baseball neck. I generally think that this guitar plays better than any Strat that I picked up that day at the store, due in part to the setup that I had done to this guitar. I had my friend Matt set it up and intonate it, and it's been awesome ever since. I've done a couple tweaks to it since then. The real kicker for this guitar is this fully scalloped fingerboard. And I just wanted to mention a couple things. If you are a shred style guitar player and you want to get better at guitar and you want to learn to pick really light and play really fast, I think this is a great option for that. That's the kind of stuff that I do. If you are a guitar player that is going to be playing mostly like rhythm guitar and chords, and maybe you like to even play like Hendrix with your thumb, you like to play chords with your thumb, this is not the guitar for you. Even if you're into like really articulate, you know, Alan Holdsworth or jazz style chord playing, I don't think this guitar is going to be a good choice for that style of playing. But if you play metal and rock and you're playing a lot of riffs and licks on this guitar, a lot of solos, this would be a great Strat for you. In fact, that's one of the reasons why I love this guitar. Usually when I'm recording, I will reach for this guitar when it's time to put a solo down, but I'll do all of the rhythm stuff, all the metal rhythms with other guitars, because this guitar is just so expressive. It makes me play a little different. My vibrato sounds awesome. It's really easy to do legato and hammer-ons and pull-offs on this guitar, and it's really easy to bend strings if that's your thing. Those are the reasons why I would get one of these guitars. Of course, you have to think that this is cool, first and foremost. But the neck, it really is something that some people would probably want to avoid, depending on your playing style. So if you're looking to get one of these, I really would spend some time at a guitar store, play it for maybe an hour just to see what it's like. You'll find yourself pulling strings off the fingerboard, at least the high and low E. It really depends on how you have this guitar set up in terms of how it's going to play and how it's going to work for you. But I think that's true of every guitar. But this scallop fingerboard it's a different experience. I play this guitar every day for several hours, so I am used to it by now. So if you're planning on doing that, if you're planning on spending a lot of time with a guitar like this, you certainly will get used to it. It'll become normal. But when you first play on it, it can be a little frustrating, especially when you're playing chords. Well, there you go, guys. That is my review of the Fender Malmsteen Stratocaster, the signature Strat of the greatest shredder of all time, Mr. Yngwie Malmsteen. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. If you like guitar stuff, pedal demos, gear reviews, guitar reviews, playthroughs of some of the most insane metal music ever. If you like that kind of stuff, definitely stick around and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.